What up, fam? Good morning walk here during the week, during the work week. So, on this walk, I've been thinking about a bunch of books that I've read, specifically a book that came out late last year, late in 2022. The book was called, or is called, Black Women Writers at Work. So this book actually came out in the 70s originally, I think, right? And it was a pretty notable cult classic in like black academic, black artist communities and different communities of people that embrace the work of black folks, specifically black women. So sorry, phone's a little like bouncy right now as I'm walking down a hill. Usually don't record right there. Whew. Good little walk. Yesterday was a long day. So I have read this book almost 3 times, and it is almost August in 2023. So in about 8 months, I have read this book almost 3 times. I love this book. It has been speaking to me in this season. There's so many expected nuances in the book that deliver. And then there's so many unexpected anecdotes that make me just say, let me read that again, right? So one thing that was unexpected, Toni Cade Bambara is a black woman, obviously, author. She died in the 90s. And prolific author, brilliant woman, just absolutely brilliant, right? Beautiful writer. And so she's talking a lot about her writing process. Each chapter focuses on a specific author. So Maya Angelou's in there, Toni Morrison's in there, Audre Lorde is in there, Toni Cade Bambara, Joyce Gales. There's so many like dope black women who write, who are in there. All right, so in that book, in Toni Cade Bambara's chapter, or each chapter, it's an interview basically, and the authors are talking about who they are, where their stories come from, their writing process, just their general philosophies and approaches to things, right? And Toni Cade Bambara talks about basically letting herself go and ignoring everything and being a binge writer, and her place just falls in disarray, and she's just all over the place, and she's constantly thinking in her head, and she has this hyper focus. She was clearly neurodivergent, probably ADHD. It sounded like my process. Yeah. So it was cool to see myself in an author who I love and respect and think is brilliant. It showed me that the way that I do this is fine because it's the way I do this. And in fact, there's other people who do it like this, right? Now, I expected to be floored by Audre Lorde, Maya Angelou, and Toni Morrison, but I was the most floored by Toni Morrison. These past 12 months, I've taken a lot of time to read more about the author and to reread some of her work and to watch that documentary about her that is on Netflix. One of the things I didn't realize about Toni Morrison is that she is the prototype. I knew the woman was smart, but she is just brilliant. You know, I'm not trying to be someone else, but I definitely take notes from other people I admire and respect. Toni Morrison is the cheat code. She won a Nobel Prize for Literature, which was a huge deal. But before that, she had a job at, maybe it was Penguin or Random House, whatever, and she was an editor. And this was in the 70s, maybe even the 60s, I don't know, I forget. And she was also teaching 2 classes at that time think, doing something else as well. And she had 2 boys that she raised. And she was like always writing. She wrote on notepads when she was in the room with people. She didn't do a lot outside of work and be home. She was like, I don't entertain. I don't really go out and socialize. Like, her time was focused on herself, her craft, and her boys. And when she was working at the publishing house, she's battling with these good old boys in the Mad Men era, right? She's smoking cigarettes in the office and talking trash to them and telling them how she's gonna do things, and she did it. And one of the reasons why we know who Audre Lorde, who Joyce Gales, who Toni Cade Bambara, and several other amazing, brilliant Black women authors is because of Toni Morrison. Because she was the one who helped to edit their books. She was the one who helped to put their books out and advertise and market and publicize those books. She was the one. She was the one behind that. And it was a beautiful story of what community looks like and what it looks like to embrace the work of Black folks and to support and advocate for the work of Black folks. She didn't do it with this activist type approach or vocalization that was very public and loud. Nothing wrong with that if that was the case. That's not me giving a low-key slight. It's just me stating how she operated, right? But she was defiant, she was smart, she was clear in how she stood. And that was a big deal. So in addition to that, she talked about Ohio, because Ohio is one of the places where a lot of her books take place in. And she's from Ohio. I think Sula took place in Ohio. And she described Ohio as, during slavery and Reconstruction, was a place of freedom. The Ohio River, when you got to that point, was a marker of freedom. And she said Ohio had this feeling that it was neither ghetto or plantation. It was a true new opportunity for Black folks to create their own narrative. That meant a lot for me. I have family in Ohio, and I feel that. It looks like that. It feels like that. So my challenge is for everyone, but especially Black folks. Where are our places of power? Where are the places that you feel you can recreate your narrative, that you can do this thing in the way you know you need to do it? Come on, y'all. Let's keep walking out here. We got this thing.